We're recording it on. Aaron, are we recording it on?
Do I have to open my Zoom?
You don't.
Oh.
Yes, we are.
Never
Okay,
mind.
are we good to go? I'd like to call to order. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call to order the closed session for October.
Peter, we're getting back to you.
Triple back feed.
Aaron's mind is going back. Yeah, all right.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Maggie.
I'd like
Hello.
to call to order the closed session for October 12th, 2022, Hermosa Beach City School District Board of Education regular meeting. Anna, would you take roll call, please?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Board Member Cole,
Present.
Board Member Cluth. Absent. Board Member McCall,
Present.
Vice President Clerk Gardner,
Present.
President Bove LaMonica.
Present. Thank you so much. Okay, opening up public comment. There is no one in chambers, so I'll be closing in-person public comment and checking for virtual public comment.
No public comment.
Great. With no comments, I'd like to adjourn to closed session. We will return for open session. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the October 12th, 2022 regular meeting for the Hermosa Beach City School District. We have nothing to report from tonight's closed session, but if you can reflect that Quentin Cluth was present in the minutes. Let's do a call to order, please. If you would take roll call, Dana.
Board Member Cole,
Present.
Board Member Cluth,
Present.
Board Member McCall,
Present.
Vice President Clerk Gardner,
Present.
President Bove LaMonica,
Present.
all present.
Thank you so much. At this point, if everyone would please rise and join us in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic of the nation, indivisible. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to our open session and approval of tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Thank you, Doug. Is there a second?
Second.
Stephen, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Agenda is approved. Next, moving on to announcements. And if we can start off, Dr. Johnson, with you.
Thank you. First up, I'd like to come to the podium and discuss one of our retirees. So I'm going to take a minute. Thank you. All right. So to start out with, I'd like to recognize a retiree, Carla Muse. Her daughter, Christina, is here tonight. I'd like to ask if she'd come up on behalf of her mother. So Carla has served the district for over 25 years. This year was her recognition year where she was honored with her pen, and we did announce her name at the back to school rally where we announced all the retirees. So on behalf of Hermosa Beach District, I'd like to present this pen of 25 years of service to you and your mom. Next up, I have a plethora of certificates for you that we give to our retirees. Everyone gets in on the fun. Ted Lieu, Al Marisucci and such. I like the cities the best personally. So that's the one that I'll show everybody because it's really fancy. So on behalf of Hermosa Beach and Hermosa Beach City School District, we'd like to recognize your mom, Carla Muse. And then I just like to just say that Carla cannot join us tonight. Carla has had health issues. And so in turn, she is retiring from the district because of those health needs. Her entire family is here this evening. We very much appreciate Carla's service. She was a paraeducator for us. And I mean, like I can tell you from being a special education teacher that having a good paraeducator is worth its weight in gold. And the people that work with our most needy students, I mean, like are just so important, not just to our students, I mean, like to our school community. They truly make a difference. So we just like to say thank you on behalf of Hermosa Beach City School District. And we deeply appreciate your mom's service. Now, this is the norm. We do put our retirees on the spot. So would you like to say a few words on behalf of your mother? Very good. Excellent. Like a good mom. All right. I'll get out of the way here.
Hello, everybody. She told me to tell you guys, thank you all for thinking about me over the years. It is much appreciated. Thank you to all my coworkers and colleagues. Many started off as coworkers, but now they're very close friends. I will remember each student that I've met here at Valley and After School Care. It's been a pleasure working with the district. Love, Miss Carla. Thank you.
One more round of applause for Carla. Thank you, family, for being here tonight. We do appreciate it. All right, so our next announcement, I'd like to bring up Principal Bledsoe, and she is going to talk about social emotional learning at Valley.
Sorry. I love Miss Carla. I have a presentation, Dinah. Can you bring me up? Hello, board. Thank you for having me here this evening. Please excuse my appearance. Normally I'm here in front of you in a suit, but today was Spirit Games. So is this me?
Yep.
Thanks. Do I get to advance myself? We're so fancy now. I don't know what to do. Am I supposed to do something? Okay. Thank you. I called Dr. Johnson on the way to school today and said, I completely forgot my suit for the board presentation. He said, don't worry about it. You'll be real. So this is me real. Today, I am excited to bring to you our social emotional learning events and progress of Hermosa Valley. So many wonderful things to talk to you about. So I'm going to kick us off. Am I doing it? Okay. So the first thing let's talk about is start with hello. I know this was a district-wide initiative, but it was an amazing vibe on our campus. Incredibly positive. Huge shout out to Cassie Riley, counselor extraordinaire, who just is all in for kids and planned everything to the T. When you walk into our office, the first thing that you'll see is a beautiful tree. And the tree is made of leaves with students who signed their name because they're all part of our family tree. It really just welcomes you to the campus. But awesome events that are laid out here. And here's some of the students that are taking part in our Start with Hello Week. Okay, this is our new big initiative for the year, PBIS, or Positive Behavior Intervention System. We were the last school district to be adopted by LA County Department of Ed as our Tier 1 Year 1 school. So what this means is we are working to develop a positive discipline matrix, which sounds like a not normal thing, because we're focusing on, instead of punitive measures, opportunities for students to redeem themselves, restorative justice, creating systems that are fair and equitable, but also promote student growth, the ability to do something wrong and then rectify it with an alternative act. So one of the things I say to students that leave my office that have been lucky enough to receive school discipline from me is the next time I see you is going to be because I'm celebrating you for something. And they all hear that when they walk out. But this system is really just going to commemorate that. We have a team in place. The coolest thing about Hermosa Valley is this wonderful staff and students. So we pushed out, hey, anyone interested in being on PBIS? And I had an overwhelming number of volunteers that I actually had to kick members off. Ms. Gonzalez, because we had so many people representing us. So it's a wonderful problem to have. We also have some students on the committee. And then come January, we'll be inviting community members and parents. Okay, I'm pressing. All right. Today was Spirit Games, and it was an incredibly taxing, wonderful initiative. It came about in a calendar meeting where Lara Hermosa had an idea of, hey, why don't we do this wonderful thing, kind of spun it out. And we were like, cool. Now that it's done, it was many, many hours of planning. Cassie Riley again, Lara Hermosa, Denise Vellatini Stern getting rocks donated from Thompson Building Materials. But it was a day where we canceled school and came together as one wonderful unit. It kicked off this morning with an assembly where Redondo High School came with their junior ROTC. They presented the colors to us, which was so wonderful. So happy to have them. And then Maricosta High School band, some members that weren't taking the PSAT, marched our students into the gym. And it was just an incredible celebration. Students then circled about all of these different events. So they played Get to Know You Bingo. They did old school games like sack race, three-legged race, played water balloons, kickball, trivia, and there was a storm in the middle of all of that. So we ran inside and got wet, came back out and hit it up again. But again, teachers were just amazing, adapting on the fly. It's our very first time doing this, and we have 2 other days that will be on the docket. It's really the foundation upon which our PBIS will be built. So wanted to make it awesome and exciting, which it was. All right, Wellness Center. I put this up here because I thought it would be great for it to look like this one day. So this is not the picture of our wellness center in the center. That all costs money, but we are working really hard on creating a space for every kid at Valley. Not just the kid that plays sports, not just the kid that's in student council, but somebody that wants a quiet corner to read, or they want to play games, they want to do puzzles. So Miss Riley is opening up room 6, which is open to the quad, and it's going to be a free space for everybody. Every day we'll have some kind of a theme or event to draw in more students. And the most common players are friendship club. So it's an opportunity for our students in special education to mix with students in general education and just have an awesome time building relationships and celebrating togetherness. Sports. We are killing it this year. 40-0 was an actual score. So Hermosa Valley Athletics are undefeated right now. We are running flag football, girls volleyball, and then cross country, which is a new coach. Mr. Hecker retired last year. So Miss Brown and Mr. Hazard have taken on cross country. There was standing room only in their information meeting for cross country. So big thanks to the coaches. We have a new volleyball coach, Tate Montana, who's a graduate of Hermosa. And then Tim and Ray are taking on our flag football, same as last year. So very grateful to have them, along with a brand new athletic director who is, man, do you see the athletic handbook? So awesome. It's all her. All right. This is also a new program brought to us by Megan Ehrman, who's pictured on the left, as well as Cindy Grellner, our SLP, speech and language, and Vin Lamb, our district behaviorist. They wanted to bring back in the community activities for students. And this is an opportunity for our students in special education and general education to get outside the campus, work with money, have an event, come together, build relationships. I saw some of these kids today high-fiving the people that were on this event, but it happens, I think it's every other week, every other Friday. And they take them out during lunch, go somewhere, have an awesome time, and then bring them back. So this was actually sponsored in part by PTO, who has provided the funding for students to attend. All right, Club Rush. Club Rush was a big part of our Start with Hello Week. But one of the things that prompted this was we found parents in January saying things like, wait, we have clubs? And that's problematic when parents don't know what clubs we offer. So we had a table for every club. The teachers that were the advisors were there. Students that had participated in the club before were also there to answer questions. Loud music, everyone circulated, and it resulted in a document that was shared with families that will be shared again and is also on our website, thanks to Eileen, about every club, what it is, what it's about, and when it's offered. So now the information is out there and students are going. New Pokemon Go club, shout out for Mr. Underwood, our new science teacher that's pictured in the bottom. Okay, SAS. This is something that was a board initiative last year that allowed us to create a class, student academic support class, for those students that tend to struggle with executive functioning, organization stuff. Maybe grades aren't exactly where they need to be, but they're not necessarily in need of a 504 plan or testing for special education. So it's a wonderful intervention taught by Miss Bell, teacher extraordinaire. And Cassie Riley, our counselor, and Miss Bell are partnering to do SAS groups. They're running different interventions and ensuring that students have exactly what they need in terms of a toolkit to promote success in their classes, socially, emotionally, academically. Awesome new add to the class. This man's name is John Halligan. John Halligan joined us on the 29th for a bullying prevention assembly. His story is amazing for those people that were able to attend. I had students coming up to him after the assembly and thanking him. I had students with their heads in their shirt tearing up during the assembly. And then so many emails from parents, so many calls from parents that this has been a dinner time discussion about what to do and how to have a network. Someone even texted me a quote from one of their students that they promised each other that even if they were ever feeling really sad, that they would talk to each other and they would get help together and everything was going to be okay. That was the quote from the kid. So John Halligan lost his son to suicide after a really horrible extended bullying situation. So it kind of just shocked kids into what could happen and the power of words and actions. And our hope is that it resonated with them. I have had one student come up to me and say that a person that had bullied him in the past apologized. And that's a big deal. So it was a wonderful assembly. I recommend John to any of our neighboring schools. I think I skipped something. Air Tutors. Okay, so Air Tutors has begun. We are working with Hassan Ali, who's the CEO of Air Tutors. They are providing us math intervention for students that are in need. It's an also a board initiative, so thank you so much for approving this. But it's an opportunity for students to get in front of a tutor that's been matched with them and spend one-on-one, two-on-one time going through math concepts. All of the sessions are recorded. Teachers can watch the sessions after to make sure that the students are learning the right things. It's just a really wonderful tool that can be scheduled around kids' taxing schedules. We also open this up to our English learners. Thanks to Dr. Johnson. We have a couple of English learners, one from Iran and one from the Ukraine, who have very limited English. And so we've opened up Air Tutors to match, and Hassan has found a Ukrainian tutor as well as a tutor who speaks Farsi. So it's really wonderful to help our students kind of indoctrinate into English and help their teachers work alongside them to develop lessons that they can understand. So thank you for that. What's coming up? So we have a few things, and I've just given you October to November because I didn't want to overwhelm you with all the great things that are on our calendar. But we have the 2B Assembly, which is our drug awareness that's coming up, which is coupled with our Red Ribbon Week. We also have a new gentleman that's coming to speak with us about homeless awareness. Last year, we ran a 2-part series. We had one assembly last year about homelessness, and this year we're going to have 2. This specific one is going to be working through 8th grade social studies classes. He's awesome, really easy to talk to, and has a very powerful message for not typecasting people that have been homeless in the past. So I think it will be a really great story that also will end up a dinner table discussion. We have Songwriters Workshop. That was a huge hit last year. This is where students develop lyrics and songs about drug addiction or staying drug-free. And I think we actually even had a winner that went on to the finals, but the songs are super original. Our kids are so creative. It was fun to watch. Speaking of Watch Dogs is also something. See that transition right there? Mm-hmm. That's on the docket. I know Hillary Overbeck and I are both working on that, View, Vista, and Valley. So it's an opportunity for us to get male figures on campus to be around kids, lead in the classroom, be present at non-instructional times, and just be an additional force on campus. We have such wonderful support from our moms, and it is also great to have some male presence on campus. Lots of other things too that I'm excited to share with you as we progress, but I believe that is it for now. So does the board have any questions?
Jess, it's been a long week. It's been a long day. Thank you for being here and representing with your hat. Thank you for your leadership in all this. You have just taken this on with such enthusiasm and with such a vision to transform the culture of the campus and of the district. Like it's appreciated, it is valued. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I think the board completely agrees that if kids don't feel safe and included, they're not going to be able to learn and be their best selves. So thank you for taking that and making it the foundation of how our kids are in the district. Board, any comments? Go ahead, Jen.
Oh, I just totally agree with Maggie. I ditto it. And just really want to thank you for all. I know it's a lot to do and you do it with such enthusiasm. We're all just like, yeah, we'll show up tomorrow. Yeah, we'll do it. So so thank you for all that. And I know it's infectious. So we appreciate it.
Paula Barron canceled his 8:30 to make it to the assembly, just so you know. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you.
Next year.
Next year, I'm wondering if you could control the storm because my daughter missed the water balloon thing and she was really upset that she missed the water balloon section.
This
But
whole mother
thank you.
teacher thing. We're working on it.
Thank you.
Yes, for sure.
Good, please.
Just piggybacking on things. I was going to say you missed something out of that deck. I know it's not technically learning, but the wellness for teachers also going around the campus, seeing the transformation that happened for their, I mean, everything, your focus in transforming that site. But I think what is also brilliant is hearing the community come together. It's the teachers, it's the parents, it's the community coming together to make these changes. And so subtly brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you. Over 40 parents on campus today. So can't do it without them. Carol picked up breakfast when I texted her at 6:20 this morning. So thanks for that. But yeah, it is a wonderful partnership. And I have to give a huge shout out to the staff. They are unlike any other group of people. These teachers are so all about the school. Paraeducators, lunch staff are wearing their colored bandanas today. So everybody is all in. So thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, Jessica.
All right. So Team Valley is crushing it. And on that note, the closer is student council. So student council, come on up.
Welcome.
Okay. Hi, I am Melody Elliott, your student council treasurer. Hi, I'm Frankie Marcelia, and I'm a Hermosa Valley Student Council representative.
Hi, I'm Sasha Kolzak, and I'm one of the dance commissioners.
Hi, my name is Alina Esterkin, and I'm one of your student council classroom representatives. Hi, my name is Edith Perez, and I'm one of the classroom representatives. Hello, my name is Anu Boyd, and I'm one of the classroom representatives.
Hi, my name is Luke Finnegan, and I'm one of the student council classroom representatives.
Hi, my name is Franklin Rogers, and I'm one of the two student council activities commissioners. And we are excited to be here tonight to update you on what has been happening at Valley.
Last month, we started Start with Hello Week. It was a week full of activities that focused on reaching out to others, inclusion, and community building. We want to give a big shout out to Miss Riley, Valley School Counselor. She did an amazing job putting together an entire week of activities for students.
In Mr. Kaplan's STEAM 7 classes, students are working on their digital photography unit. In Espel's video production classes, students are working on filming commercials. We're excited to see how the final projects turn out. In Miss Ripley's 6-7 art classes, students have just finished their water bug Zentangle drawings and now are working on creating bookmarks for the library contest. Miss Ripley's art 8 classes have finished their clay palettes and now are working on their tried Zentangle. Math and language arts classes just completed their first round of iReady assessments. Information will be shared with students and their families soon.
In Miss Brown's Math in the Real World classes, students are creating personal budgets based on their fictional monthly salaries. These students are also looking forward to hearing from their first guest speaker soon.
In Spanish with Miss Infusino, 8th grade is completing their first grammar lesson and are working on speaking full sentences. 7th graders are learning a song and dance called, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Genre de Zona. This dance includes funny dance moves made up by the students, and they're very excited to present to their peers on the first flag ceremony, which is this Wednesday. Not today, but next Wednesday.
In Mr. Harrison's band classes, students are working on songs to play at the flag ceremony, Halloween Carnival, and Maricosa's Green and Gold Night, where they will play with Costa's band. They're currently learning how to play Industry Baby and Eye of the Tiger.
In social studies, students are learning units including geography and the fall of Rome. Hold on. And then in Miss Lee's drama elective, students are creating a 7-sentence story and trailers for their stories using iMovie. They are also reading A Midsummer Night's Dream and studying Shakespeare through performance.
In science class, students are learning how to use microscopes and how to make scientific claims based on reasoning. In PE, 6th grade is in their volleyball unit, 7th grade is competing in their fitness testing, and 8th grade is learning how to play football.
Now for a sports update. Cross country just had their first meet last Thursday and won 2 ribbons. The girls volleyball teams finished off a successful first week in their last game. The A team crushed 25-5 first set and 25-10 second set against Dana Middle School's tough crowds. The B team crushed it as well with back-to-back scores of 25-12. The girls were versatile in their positions and took on the big blockers. It's looking like a great season ahead. As of now, girls volleyball and boys flag football remain undefeated, and the athletes hope to stay undefeated throughout the entire season.
Today, Valley students participated in their first ever Spirit Games. It was a day for events and staff to come together to build community, increase connectedness, and improve relationships outside of previously formed friend groups, and to compete with one another school-wide. It was a very successful day and with very excited students who are already excited for our next Spirit Games.
At the end of this month, we will be having our annual Halloween Carnival on Friday, October 28th. Students have begun selling raffle tickets and will continue to sell tickets through the 28th. We hope to see everyone there.
Thank you for allowing our student council to share what is happening at Valley. We look forward to sharing more information with you next month.
Thank you for coming, everyone. Keep up the great work. That is it on announcements. Let me get back to my, that was so pleasant. I have to get back to my normal. Let's get to the agenda. Okay. Moving in to, where are we in the agenda? Moving into public comment communications. Members of the audience may address the board on any topic regardless of whether it is listed on the agenda. However, the board may not discuss issues raised that are not listed on the agenda. Topics not on the agenda that are brought to the board's attention may be investigated by the administration and a report made to the board, either publicly or privately at a future meeting. Comments from all visitors shall not exceed 3 minutes per individual speaker unless waived by a majority of all members of the board. I have one red card. If there's other folks who'd like to give comment, the red cards are in the back. Betty. Come up to the mic. Yeah. No, that's fine. Just so that we can capture everything on the.
For whatever reason, my last month's comments showed up on today's comments. Okay, today's comments weren't on the comment section.
For that. Okay.
Okay, right. So I copied for all of you. So I hope you'll take time because there's a lot more detail in there than I'm just gonna summarize tonight.
Sure. Thank you.
But I hope you will take the time to read the detail in there.
Absolutely.
And I hope that glitch is fixed so that today's comments appear.
Thank you for your patience in the comms piece. We're looking in to see what happened.
So
whenever you're ready, start, and you can state your name for the record. You know how this goes.
While we're talking about technology though, my first ask is that the written comment thing, when I looked at it, Jason told me and Maggie told me that my full comment was there last month. And I looked, had my husband look, we couldn't find it. So I called a more technologically savvy person, and that person showed me how to expand the cell. I didn't know that. And probably a lot of other people wouldn't know that. So I'm asking if that, and this person told me if your tech person can expand that cell on that form so the full comment will show at first glance. So there's no gymnastics have to be done in order to find it.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's the first ask in technology. The other is I asked if I could use that big screen to make a presentation. And I was told that only school personnel and staff and whatever could use that. I don't understand that. It seems to me if the technology is here, I should also be given that privilege. So that's my second ask, is that you review that policy and see if somebody wants to use it. Why not? I don't understand that. So, okay, so that's the technology stuff. I read all the notes on your equity, I think you call it the equity task force. And there were some questions in there and Jason answered them all. One of them was, when do we expect to see the curriculum for equity and inclusion curriculum adoption? And his answer was, well, we haven't adopted anything, but maybe in 22, 23, we will adopt some kind of curriculum. And I'm asking again that the public be given some reasonable notice so that we can preview that curriculum if it ever is, you come up with something. Now, in terms of need for the SEL, I mean, you know, you're doing some great stuff and I love what Ms. Bledsoe, you know, presented tonight. But there's some other stuff I'm wondering if we really need to spend time and effort on it. And I'm told that the equity, inclusion, diversity modules in your SEL goals and objectives, I think that's the way it goes, are driven by data that's collected from the Panorama surveys. Well, I looked through those surveys, I looked at the results, and I'm going, what's the problem? There doesn't seem to be a great need here in Hermosa Beach, according to what I read anyway. The results there just don't reflect a great need, in my opinion. But I also looked through your iReady test scores, and I think those reflect a much greater need to raise our test scores back to a level of excellence that we're used to here in Hermosa Beach. Let's not forget that those 2 years of lockdowns, unnecessary, horrific lockdowns, we lost a lot. And I think we need to spend a lot more time, effort, and money getting our academics back to that level of excellence. And while I'm talking about time, effort, and money on that stuff, I will relieve the school district of the burden of teaching my grandchildren about cultural sensitivities. If anybody suspects either of my two grandchildren of any—
Maggie, we are beyond the time.
Thank you for that. Is the majority of the board want to give Betty time to finish your statement?
Take me a couple. Yeah,
Please, go ahead.
Thank you. Appreciate that. My kids of any culturally insensitive behavior, I ask you that you call our family for a conference and then let us take that issue at home and we will deal with it at home according to our family values. Okay. And my last thing is I object strongly to the hiring of Dr. Orange and because of her background at Center X, where they promote the CRT, white supremacy, oppressor, oppressed ideology. If you look into her background, I hope you will do that and do your own research and not just be a rubber stamp for whatever Jason recommends. And thank you for the extra time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for
Appreciate
coming
it.
and your comments. Thanks for that. Do we have a public timer that goes off for the next, just so we know? I don't know how to use that. No problem.
Maggie.
Okay.
Yeah, so when the timer elapses, typically what we do is the executive manager.
Yeah.
The executive manager just makes note that the timer has elapsed. Yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. I was waiting for like a bell and I didn't. So. Okay. Next up, Dan. If you could state your name for the record, thanks.
I'm Dan Madden. I realized how I know you. Our sons were on the same soccer team last year, Carl. And your husband, I believe, is a referee.
He is. Did he yell at you?
No, I ran over my son on Sunday. Knocked him right over. Unbelievable. My time hasn't started. Come on, man. I was just kidding. Jason, we've been emailing back and forth. I'm Dan Madden. Thank you for your responses. Having that gate back open, I know you probably have a sense of how valuable that is for the neighborhood and the surrounding community. Quinn, of course you do. You're right down the street from me. I want to talk about the Golden Avenue back gate, which is on the 22nd or something, will be reopened. That's awesome. That's not the topic. The topic is there is this strip of kind of like ice plant and trees and overgrown brush that it basically sits between neighboring residences and then the schoolyard. And there's 2 fences. And that place is awesome, especially when especially during COVID and during the 18-month or however long construction period. That green belt, as we call it, was like a lifeline for parents. And it has remained that same type of lifeline where almost every day, especially when the kids get out of school at 2:30, they're either in the streets dodging cars, which is a terrible idea, but they're good at it these days, or they're in that green belt. And yesterday, I don't know who ordered the closing, but it was welded shut, that fence, so the kids can't access that green belt anymore, which is pretty problematic, and also probably won't work. So I wanted to understand a little better from your point of view why that was closed, and if I'd love to readdress or reassess the decision.
So Dan, thanks for bringing this to the board's attention. What will happen is we'll direct staff to look into the issue, and then we will be able to cycle back around with you, but we don't do Q&A from here.
Cool.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Can I ask one more question?
Yes.
40 more seconds. Regarding the opening and closing of that gate during whatever hours, how's that going to work? Because previously, for the past over a decade, maybe a decade, there's been a key that neighbors had, and it's worked very well. What's the plan for that working now?
Okay. We'll get back to you with all the answers around access to that easement of the green space and keys and locks. Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Closing public comment. Is there any virtual public comment?
No virtual comments.
Okay, moving on then to written communication to the board. Pardon me, I'm trying to figure out where my agenda is. Okay, on behalf of the board, we received an email from a parent about class sizes in middle school. And then I received 2 emails from Betty around district goals and tech and communications. Any other communications from folks? Stephen?
I also received communication from Jim Hannon, South Bay Bike Coalition, and Carl Dixon, Sand and Surf.
Great, thank you. Any others? Okay. Excellent. Moving on to superintendent update. Jason?
Thank you, Maggie. Just a few quick items because there's a lot of updates from Hermosa Valley, so I'll skip past a few of those. Skechers is fast approaching, and so register yourselves, register your neighbor, register your grandma, register your dog, the squirrel in your backyard. All are registerable. We receive I think it's 4 times the match. I mean, Skechers is a great game because it's free money up for grabs. So if you're looking to make a great donation to the school, all you got to do is register for Skechers, and you're registering 4 times the amount of your registration fee just by simply registering. It's fun to go to. I always go. Bring the family. But with that said too, the crowds can be a little crowded. So guess what? You don't have to attend. You can just register as a virtual walker and you are still doing your part. So please do so. We encourage it. Moving right along, PTO Carnival has already been highlighted. So I just want to say a big thank you to PTO and its volunteers. The PTO Carnival, if you have not been, and last year was my first experience, it is very much worth going. It's off the chain, so to speak. But it's a mammoth undertaking. I mean, PTO throws so much volunteerism at it. So just a thank you to those. They make something special happen for the family. It was announced today at the flag ceremony that I'm going in the dunk tank and kids cheered. I'm not sure why. I expected tears, but I don't know. Let's just move on. Okay. iReady assessment just completed. Looking forward to getting the board that data. We are really excited about our students' academic progress. I know we talked about it last meeting, but I wanted to re-highlight that on the state testing results, our students achieved 18, 19 levels. And our students are achieving in the top 5% of state of California. Looking forward to seeing some of the comparative results in the local South Bay because no one else has released their scores yet. And that should be coming in January, right? Yeah, December, January. So feeling pretty good about the academic performance of our students. Next, Red Ribbon Week is coming up. Valley, as you saw, and our other schools will be doing a lot with bullying prevention and also drug awareness. We've been rolling out some information to our families about fentanyl. This is a major crisis across the nation. And as a parent, please educate yourself about fentanyl. Have conversations if it's age appropriate with your children. It is definitely information is key when it comes to fentanyl. Self-Based Families Connected, which resources we put out, has some great articles about it. So we'll continue to work on that. That's part of our TUPE grant, but we're really trying to get the word out. And Red Ribbon Week will be key to doing so. We're making that push. The Superintendent Student Advisory Council will begin next week on Wednesday. I meet with student council every other month to hear feedback from students and suggestions and ideas. So from that, now I'm opening up a monthly meeting, grades 5 through 8. We were going to take 8 students and then 60 applied with full applications. We were overwhelmed, and then it turned into like what was supposed to be like a couple of days of reviewing the applications to a week-long process of vetting it through a team of 6 folks. So we ended up taking 10, and we already have 4 alternates, and just really excited to get in a room with these kids and hear feedback about their schools. The applications were really good. My favorite, which I highlighted, was the one saying that Dr. Johnson is hearing our ideas but not implementing them. So that person obviously made it in. So I love that's how you roll. Yeah, that's how you roll with an application. So they were my number 1 choice. All right, and then we on Monday. Jessica Bledsoe, man, she just keeps going. Her and I went to Redondo Union High School to meet with the Associated Student Body Leadership. That's the student council of the Redondo Union High School. And we met to talk about articulation activities, building off our alumni visit focus groups from last year. Redondo is in, and we challenged them to get more kids to Redondo than Miracosta, and they were all about it. There was one student, Henry, who's in ASB from Hermosa, and he's like, we're gonna do this. So yeah, we came up with a lot of ideas about bringing more focus, and some of the feedback we received about like having a Q&A session during the roadshow, bringing small groups of ASB students to meet class by class with 8th grade students to have conversations. So we're looking forward to that. We're building off and then getting a higher attendance to the 4 major Redondo events. So more to come for the board. We're meeting with the Miracosta ASB in 2 weeks. And Jessica and I look forward to that conversation as well. And then finally, we are the Golden Bell winner for the Equity Dashboard. We won the Golden Bell for transparency and achievement in academic and climate data. We are one of the only school districts that is transparent about their students' academic achievement, as well as our students' climate data during the COVID era when the California dashboard has not been reporting for the last 2 years. So very proud of that. We'll be going and accepting the award. Very prestigious at the annual conference for CSBA, and kudos to the board and Maggie and Jen, who are behind the Equity Task Force initiative. It's been 3 years now, which, if you can believe it, but longer if you know the history. So we're just really proud and excited, and kudos to Sylvia, who designed it as well too. So good stuff. All right, and that concludes my superintendent update. Thank you. I'll take any questions.
So many good things. Questions from the board. Quentin, just putting you on the spot.
I'll come up with one. I think I think it just joins on to what you were saying. Wasn't it mentioned in a previous board meeting that we had some scores come back that showed that actually our learning loss had been minimal and at least and much better, in fact, than most districts. Am I remembering that right?
Yes, so our statewide testing results from the spring was the first year had been done since COVID. We already had an idea of our results based off of our commitment to iReady assessments. And our scores were equivalent to the 1819 levels, which is the last time it was tested, like literally to the percentage, which shows from like a overall achievement that there has been no learning loss in Hermosa Beach. With that said, we know there has been, and we know though that the impact has been mostly social emotional, as it shows reflective in our data. And so it looks like our point of emphasis with, achievement, I mean, like as well as counseling and social emotional wellness, the things you're seeing that Jessica doing, has had an overall positive effect.
Thank you. That's it.
Jen?
Yeah, I'll just make one comment just to piggyback on what Jason said. And on the carnival and the social emotional wellness, because the PTO does provide the support, as Principal Blesso said, for a lot of those programs. So sell those raffle tickets, come to the carnival, dunk Jason 100 times, make sure that line is long, very, very long. Don't let him out of there because all that money is going to support all these programs that we went through. So
If there's money involved, then I'll happily do it then, because I didn't realize there was money involved.
Steven? No? Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Moving on to board reports. Board president update, just a big thank you to the Valley campus yesterday for having the
Maggie, just as a point of order, we have a public hearing. Oh yeah, it's okay. It's not unusual to the board.
public hearing. H-02-2223, hearing on the resolution 02-2223, statement of assurance for pupil textbook instructional materials incentive program. Dr. Johnson.
Yes, this is an annual compliance item about assurances of textbooks and materials are available to our students, and we need to hold public hearing, public comment in order to ensure that the public is heard.
Great. Opening the public hearing. Any comment? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing.
We need a motion to close. Yeah.
May I have a motion to close the?
So
public
moved.
hearing? Thank you, Quentin. Is there a second?
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Public hearing is closed. Let me just check the agenda this time. Moving into board reports. Board president update, a giant thank you to the Valley campus for hosting the board yesterday on a walkthrough of the classrooms. It was, I found it very gratifying to watch the students at work. So I'll open it up to any of my colleagues who were there. Jen or Stephen, any thoughts? Jen has some thoughts.
Sorry, no, I just wanted to give a little shout out to Miss Bledsoe and the team also. It was great to see, some of my favorite sign of the day was in Miss Shin's class. I think, is that correct? Where she was welcoming all this new science. It was just so welcoming in the science department. It was awesome. And then going into Mr. Garrett's program to, sorry, not Mr. Garrett. Garrett's his first name, Mr. Kaplan's program, where the students were coding and making, basically had given them an assignment and they were all making different superhero program. Yeah, they all had to take on a superhero. And it was just cool to see. All the kids were excited about it. Everyone was super engaged. He seemed really into it. So it's fun to see it happening in real time. So thank you again for all those teachers that let us come wander through and watch them.
Just to tag on, I mean, the energy was palpable. It was just really positive. I mean, all the programming and enrichment, not only in the core classrooms, but I mean, there was gardening. We got to see it all. It was really brilliant. So,
there was worms. We were looking at worms.
Yeah, it was really great.
This is incredible.
Gross. Okay, moving on to Jen's board report for wellness.
I really don't need to do it because Jessica did the whole thing already. So that's really great. So I really appreciate it. I didn't have to report anything, but that is exactly the meeting. If you wanted to sit in it, that's what you would have received. And we also sat in the wellness room that is going to be the wellness room. And that was really fun. And then I don't need to do the equity and inclusion committee meeting either because Jason's about to do that board report. So we're just going to move right along.
Excellent. Stephen, board report.
just on the Wellness Council, with that room, I should have asked this earlier. Is there any connection with Beach Cities Health District? I know that they have their community and center, and I just wondered if there was like, okay, stage one is get this, and it's run by our counselors. But I wondered if, dare I say, egregiously, if there's any funding or other things that's coming in through.
It's really funny that you bring that up because there's a draft of the tri-agency agenda that was just sent to Maggie literally this afternoon. And one of the items is about collaboration with the Beach Cities Health District about the Wellness Center in relation to Alcove. So yeah, good stuff.
Because Alcove is brilliant in its own right, but it's also several, I mean, in our small city, it's off the grid and you need a passport to get to. No, you don't. It's
great minds and synergy here.
Okay.
It's good.
Before we move on, next Tuesday is the opening of the alcove, which board members are invited to, and you can reach out to Beach City Health District or send me a note and tag along with me next week. Superintendent report and board discussion, R-13-2223, Dr. Johnson, school safety.
First off, I just want to acknowledge that some of our families are here today that have stuck with us for safety updates. So I know these meetings are not easy to attend. So thank you for being here as always. I just appreciate your commitment to safety. And I would just want to acknowledge too that a lot of the ideas or thoughts that were brought forth from some of our concerned community members like help drive some of the considerations when we did some of the work that we'll present on tonight. Hi. Tonight, we're doing a follow-up to our school safety. This is just an update. You mean like, and I always want to reiterate with these that safety is something, if done well in schools, is ongoing and incremental. It will never be, solved. You're always having to work on it in order to keep up with it, which is just like education. You have to always be working on it to keep up with it. So we made great progress, and we'll come back again in December and provide another update. We recognize the necessary and added attention to school safety and recent events. So we're going to keep on trying to keep our community abreast to what the school district is doing, as it should always be doing in regard to safety. Let's see here. No? Okay. Slide. I don't know. Maybe it's the battery. Oh, actually, oh no, yeah, okay. Okay, I feel good now. Okay, thanks. All right, just a quick little summary here before we dive in. I'll take the highlights, something I already highlighted, that safety is reviewed on an annual and ongoing basis. Big believer in protocols and safety for schools. And if you keep at it on, like a weekly, monthly basis and follow your procedures, you're definitely to come out ahead, and then also be aware of where you need to improve. We conducted comprehensive safety assessments from August all the way through September. They just wrapped. And then the Hermosa leadership team, we received the reports earlier this week on Monday, and we're reviewing them with our school leadership teams and trying to create a list of priority orders for next steps. Okay, so we have been, during the course of August through September, working with HBPD on crisis response training. Our relationship and partnership with Hermosa Beach Police Department is special. As I mentioned in a prior meeting, that I remember when I first started getting a call from Chief LeBaron saying like, hey, I'd like to partner and work together and, about safety for the school. And, and that's where it began. Like today he was actually at our walk to school event, and then he was also at the Spirit game. So he follows through 3 years later. So we worked with HBPD to conduct, and school leadership to conduct full campus tours and safety reviews. Took a long time. And there you see a picture of me talking with the guys about our various parts of campus on Hermosa Valley, and we also visited Hermosa Vista, and then Hermosa View is under construction, so they've done a walkthrough, and then we're going to do another walkthrough, I think, in a week. This was an opportunity for HBPD to what we say is relearn the campus. So we've been working closely with PD to have them present at a lot of events. You've seen them recently at many different school events, but it's just a closer look, a closer walkthrough. And so we took time to walk through a lot of doors that PD would normally not walk through. Out of that, you can see some critical recommendations. We did testing and also a follow through of our panic alarms that are in various parts of our school campuses. And then also we made sure that our emergency communication is in alignment in the event of an emergency with PD, ICS, which is our alarm company, and then also what the common response would be in the event of emergency across the South Bay. We are continuing. We have now a schedule that we provide to PD on a monthly basis of calendared events, as well as PD is having a morning presence. So many of you have seen PD in the mornings and then the afternoons around our schools, also doing spot visits during the course of the day. And then we talked about the South Bay's coordinated response to an incident. What I'll just share, in the event of an intruder or other incident on a school campus, something to bear in mind is that the South Bay cities and police departments have an agreement with each other, along with coordinating services, that the response to that event would not just be Hermosa Beach Police Department. It would be the entire South Bay and its various police departments, which include all the way from Redondo, Torrance, Inglewood, Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach. This would be a coordinated response, and they're all headed in the same direction. And each city, is in alignment to do the same for each other. We, in addition to this, conducted comprehensive safety assessments. This was through ASCIP, which is our Joint Power Authority, and they contracted Nicole Miller and Associates. The visiting team are former law enforcement, and they do safety assessments across the nation, mostly in the state of California, and for schools, federal buildings, and various other security organizations. The comprehensive assessments were literally received last Monday, and the school leadership team is now reviewing those assessments together in order to take next steps. The material is very sensitive, and we are making a good list. There's some things that are very easy to do, and there's some things that require deeper consideration or require greater modification of our school campuses. As an example, I did ask the assessor, who was great, Martin. I said, if you're going to make a list of, recommendations and such and considerations, but if I said I was going to do nothing, you mean like I would only do one thing? I mean, like, what would that one thing be? And he said, oh, that's an easy answer. Training, because it's the most important thing. He's like, the more training for your staff, whether it be vigilance, the run, hide, fight protocol, crisis response like CPR or stop the bleed, that would be the most critical thing that you could do as a team. So that is where we're putting our point of emphasis in the here and now. Our training, our procedures. So the low-hanging fruit is we didn't have a official badge policy, so we have badges now. Now, I want to make note here that this is a nice looking badge. It's very stylish. Who's to say you can't be safe and stylish? And so these are going across campus. We're still working on making sure that all of our employees wear them. And then we also have our radio protocols. So Hermosa, Sleepy Beach town, was not used to a strict radio protocol. So now all of our school administrators and various personnel, including like noon supervisors at lunch, carry radios. And we have what we call radio check. Here, let me test it. Radio check. Team. We're still working on it.
Collect check.
There you go. There you go. Johnson, a district office.
DO check.
Yeah, there you go. So we're getting better at it. And the key there, right, is that in the event of a crisis, you don't want to find out right then that someone had their radio turned down. So it's that constant presence. And so when we come on to each other's campuses, we we check each other. And just making sure today at the walk to school, we all switched over to the district channel for those of us that were out in the community. And so we were communicating and coordinating as we were walking our kids across campus. So it's just being mindful of those things, that among our staff, there's a greater preparedness in the event that there was an emergency, but it takes that regular routine. Our drills are coming up at Hermosa Valley. Their run, hide, fight drill will be in November. That'll be in alignment with a few other activities that they're doing that support, such as they have signs of suicide that's coming up as well. And then we have scheduled with Hawthorne PD, right? A stop the bleed training. This is a life-saving measure in the event of someone with sustained an injury where they're suffering blood loss. We're also working on a CPR training as well. And then we'll be looking into with Martin doing a vigilance training. And we are with Run, Hide, Fight with Jessica, like the team meets as the staff and they review their safety procedures. The Great Shakeout is coming up as well too in October. We're also looking at perimeter adjustments. So we're looking at various gate locks, alarms for gates, and then potential blind spots across our campus that we'll be working on as a school team. And then we'll continue to work with our school and police coordination, which I'll talk about in the next slide. So on November 1st, HBPD, Hermosa schools, and then city officials, including as far as like even LA Fire Department, will be participating in a full day tabletop training exercise. This is new to me, but this is the thing. It'll be led by an former FBI agent who's a facilitator of tabletop activities. And it's really a full day walkthrough of in the event of a tragedy. How would we handle from beginning to post-vention? And with all city planners involved. So it'll be a full room. Actually, it'll take place in this room. And walking through and making sure that all of our school administrators and city employees and emergency responders have an idea of the plan. And then part of it too is revealing areas that we need to work on. So looking forward to that, and kudos to Chief LeBaron, who is a big believer in tabletop exercises and has worked towards facilitating this event. So he's making it happen. Slide. Oh, sorry, that's me. Now, did I double up? No, okay. Just talking to myself. Digital safety. So we are also, Aaron and I are working together on making sure that our campuses are safe. This work began with Simon when we started looking into the district made a purchase with Securely. And so I'm just very quickly walk through some of our platforms that help to keep our students and their information safe. Securely is a content filter, and it protects our network, and it alarms us when there's inappropriate or flagging activity. We have used it many times during the course of the last 3 years that I've been part of the school district. And it has helped us in order to address incidents. We also have a Google security system, so we're a closed network. So our kids, the way the Google suite is designed is like our kids can communicate in the system, but they cannot communicate out of the system. And then we have our Raptor system, which is our visitor screening, which does background checks when people check in. I mean, like they get a printed badge. Today we had a flag ceremony, so a lot of parents wearing their badges. Then there's the network safety, which is always a challenge. So Aaron has a big screen in his office that constantly monitoring the network. And we're, this is the things that happen at 3 o'clock in the morning. Thanks, Aaron. And here is a list of all the various systems that we have in order to protect our network. It is well publicized about the incident that happened in LAUSD. And Aaron and I debriefed after that incident. And one of the what most IT guys will tell you the same thing, which is that it really is the way in is through your employees. Like that's the way in. And so employee education about not clicking on emails that say that they're from drjasonjohnson.com asking for your credit card number is don't click on that. You mean like Jason should not be asking you for your credit card number, even if it was from HBCSD.org, really, so those are things that we're going to do. And so Erin's going to be, we send out regular emails to staff, and then we'll be making announcements in staff meetings just as like a sort of like, constantly putting in the minds of our new and veteran employees about the phishing that takes place in order to compromise our system. And then our team will be participating in a cyber risk assessment through ASKIP, and that will take place, I believe, in a week, Erin. Yeah. And so like we did the vulnerability assessment for our school campuses, we're doing the same for our network and for our safety. And we hope to learn a lot from that exercise as well, too. There we go. I already mentioned about the radio communication and employee badge system. I think that we're feeling good about our radio communication system and like the administrative checks. And I think that we're still working on our employee badge system and making it a norm among our employees. One of the reasons we want to kind of do some more training is just to continue to communicate the importance of the why. And part of it is as important as badges are, the lanyard is equally as important because it's what you see. So, everything takes some getting used to, and, like people are human, they, forget their badge. So we're continuing to make that a culture of our school, and we know we're going to get there. We're going to keep on working on it. As I mentioned in the last presentation, we welcome community participation and we encourage all of these various groups. I won't go through them all. An email was sent out by me with all the various ways that parents can become engaged and participate. I attended a school site council meeting led by Sylvia and Hillary, Principal Overbeck on Tuesday. It was great. And that's a great opportunity to contribute, especially in the area they do review the safety plans. So I continue to encourage our parents. We have a lot of avenues. I love to engage with our parents because, our parents and students, they are the consumer of our product. And you learn a lot about how to best serve our families, by engaging with them. So we welcome that. And we think that a lot of the achievements that we've made is because of that, including our gains in safety. So what's next? There's a long laundry list for work. Oh, that came out kind of weird. And it'll culminate with another safety update to the board in 2 months, where we'll let you know where our progress is, and we'll keep at it and keep on being transparent as well as careful about what we communicate publicly in regard to the steps we're taking to make sure that our campuses are as safe as they can be. What can I do to help? Here are a lot of different ways. I'll highlight just 2, which is that I think that may seem indirect, but I think they're very direct. Volunteer for HBPTO or HBPF. These measures, these resources, they require that. They require resources, time, money, and people. So those organizations are our lifeblood. They make our campuses safer. They give us the money and resources to make our campuses safer. So I will, conclude by saying continue to consider donating to HBF. They're in the middle of an annual giving campaign, and it does make a difference. Those dollars we put to work. And I would just encourage you to continue to consider donating those dollars to make our campus safe in more ways than one, because the best thing you can do is improve the student's experience, improve your school climate, because that keeps the campus safe by keeping our students healthy and well. At this time, I'll take questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. I'll start on this side. Stephen, anything? No? Yeah.
Jason, team, including parents in this, thank you. In terms of site vulnerability and wherever else, just how comprehensive. So I'm sure I speak for the board on that. In no particular order, just some thoughts. Sorry, this first one was only because I was watching a city council meeting last night. They happened to be talking about response times. And this may not just be, it may just be something that is part of the tabletop or wherever else, is if we have that direct connection, because because of what you talked about before, does that go into a 911 if it's depending on the level of escalation, or does it go in? Because there's not only a response to 911, or is it directly into HBPD?
No, and we actually learned from doing this exercise that you wouldn't want it to either. So it goes to general dispatch, because that dispatch for a panic alarm is going to send a lot of police officers in our direction. It does not go to the local, but the local will dispatch the nearest officer. But that would be beyond even Hermosa. So most likely the nearest officer will be in Hermosa, but it casts a very broad net through ICS, our alarm system.
That's great. Communications, particularly to the community or parents, if things. I know that there was a recent update just with that, and that now there's all parents are opted in. Is it that the right way of saying it? So that we're able to get immediate communications out in the event of an issue or concern.
Yeah, this is a shift in district policy, as I understood with the former administration prior to me, that the policy was for text messages, that it was an opt-in policy. I'm making the decision that it'll now be an opt-out policy to ensure for emergency communication that text messages go to families. So that is, we believe, is a safety measure. There may be a text message coming soon about going out for Skechers. You mean but we just feel like that we just hit two birds with one stone there.
Yeah. Thought on cameras. Obviously, we have camera systems set up, and I wonder how the thought is on signage around that. I know sometimes they're subtle or they're in places, but I wonder if there's an element of very visibly, this site is being, is monitored by videos or things like that. I wonder if maybe that's just because I was conscious of it when I was looking around View, and maybe certain things hasn't yet gone up, but I wondered if that was something we would consider.
Yes, they're in the process. A little bit of the delay at Valley is we're doing personalized signage in alignment with ACT, which is ACT Caratel. That's going to be the rollout in November of the Sandy Hook Promise, which we'll provide the board more update on. But ACT Caratel is just to continue to build the culture among our students that telling a trusted adult, and when you hear someone or something that seems unsafe is not necessarily telling on somebody. It really is showing a sense of care for that person and for others. So the signs about cameras will be in conjunction with that.
Okay.
And then at Hermosa View, particularly on the upper playground, which we heard public comment on earlier, we'll be placing signage to let folks know that are using our campus on weekends that they are also on camera.
Great. And my last is not a question, is a comment and an observation, and thanks to the city, but in particularly the chief and his team, because certainly we've always had presence, and certainly there would be certain officers, but I mean, the chief was there this morning, he's part of our community and events, and it's not like it's an oddity to have a police officer there. In fact, if anything, now it's actually just really, and it's not as though there's one liaison. I feel like I see his whole police department at our schools and around our schools, and that's a good thing. So, I know that obviously huge priority and all the efforts that he's going to and his team and whatever else, but just know that I think from everyone, the whole community, thank you, because it means a lot.
Yeah, compliments to the Hermosa Beach Police Department under Chief LeBaron's leadership. I will tell you that they make the partnership easy, and it really is just that. It is a partnership. Chief LeBaron and I, we talk with each other, we text with each other, so it's an ongoing communication. And they, what I appreciate about PD is that they want to be present, they want to work with us, so that helps facilitate, and vice versa as well too. So they were at the bike safety event, they were at the Spirit Games, they were at the Walk to School event.
Yep.
I do valet in the morning. They're constantly, pulling through our valet lines and present on campus. So it's been a great opening to the school year, and just can't say enough positive things about our police department.
Indeed, thank you.
Other questions off of safety? You do? You don't? Oh, please.
Yeah, Jason, I did it with all the compliments of all the hard work to get all this information out. And I do appreciate the ladies in the audience that have given us a lot of good information. So I just want to reiterate that it is like an ongoing, like I really liked how you said it. It is an ongoing thing. It's like we have to always be aware of safety, and like we need to encourage parents and staff and students to tell us if there's something that doesn't seem right, or oh, hey, I noticed I didn't get the sticker when I went in today. Is something wrong? It's like all that is okay. So don't ever feel like you can't tell the school. Like you should be able to tell people and not feel like you're complaining about something. It should be an easy conversation.
Yeah, a big takeaway from you mean like the assessments that we did was just vigilance is important. You know, and it really is a community effort, and that's why the training for staff is so important. Where you need eyes, or what really makes the difference, and you mean like when the something terrible may happen. I mean, like it really is how and when people respond to it that makes such a critical difference, and that was very, very clear. And that's what we're really working towards, is that our people are consistently well prepared. I think that we have work to do, but I think the recognition of that and the chase, and I feel good about where we're at, but I feel better about where we're going.
And one other question about at a couple other schools in Redondo, they've been starting these anonymous tip lines, where so students, I don't know how they send them anonymously, to be honest, because if it's sent from your computer, I'm not sure if it's ever anonymous, but they appear to be having these anonymous tip lines, both at the middle schools and at the high school. And is that something we're looking into?
Yes, so that will be a part of the rollout of Acknowledge, Care, Tell in November in regard to the Sandy Hook Promise Say Something. And we will be opening up our own forum for anonymous reporting. The spirit games and the initiatives that you see rolling out are important because they're fun. I mean, like, but a big part of it is about building trust and care for the campus. And so you brought up about like the anonymity piece, and we found that important as well too. But that's why we think that these efforts are like linked with each other. That the care, you mean like for campus, and the investment is what is going to rule the day when it comes to kids telling adults if there's something that threatens their campus.
And then I had two other things. One is Ms. Gluck sent out an informational, like lots of different links about drug safety. And the one that is really good, if parents want a quick one to look at, is from the department. It's the DEA. I think it's DEA.com or DEA.org. Anyway, it just gives you a 2-sheet, like how to talk to your kids about fentanyl, especially. And I don't think there is this is my personal opinion. I think you need to start younger than 5th grade. You need to, like, it looks like candy. So it looks like Sudafed. So it is something that kids are going to be very familiar with. And I think you need to be really on it as parents, to be honest with your kids about what these things look like. And then the second one is just a reminder. It goes with the digital safety, is like, in middle school, I think it's parents as well as schools, but parents especially need to be owning their student devices. Meaning, like, you need to be looking at your children's TikTok accounts. They have multiple TikTok accounts. You have to be owning them. They are doing things that you just would not believe they should be doing at 11, 12, and 13 on their TikTok accounts, and things that they're saying. And we can't say it's just on the kids. It's like we have to take ownership of that as parents too. In this community, it's happening in Redondo. It's happening in Maricosta. I think as committed, as community members, we need to look at our children's things. And it's very easy as parents. We know during COVID, we gave them this as like a coping mechanism, and now it's catching up with all of us, and middle school is hitting hard in middle school. So I would just encourage parents to start taking ownership back of that device.
We had good feedback from Wellness Council, which I know you were a part of that meeting. So there's a few things that we're looking at maybe putting out alongside some of the information that we've done. So, and I think that the continuing to message is very important as well too.
Excellent. I think we're done, Jason. Thanks so much for that report on school safety.
I'm up next, so I'm gonna hang.
If we could just keep up with R-14-2223 equity inclusion update.
All right. Night, ladies. Yes, yeah. Thanks. Okay, here we go. So this is a board update on our equity inclusion progress. Just as a quick reminder, part of our equity task force and its recommendations was to provide routine updates to the board on a quarterly basis. So this is actually the first official update.
Jason, do you mean our California approved Golden Bell
Oh, yes,
equity
yeah,
dashboard?
that is very true.
Our
Thank you.
noted.
You're making me blush up here. Very good. Proud to show our progress. This, is the kickoff to the year. So you're going to see a lot of things that are just, they're in motion. But it is nice to be in the third year of this initiative and to see things coming to fruition. So we're very proud of that, and thank you for the board for supporting. Sorry, happy trigger finger there. So this year there are 10 objectives, and you see there's a range of focus, but our core is academic intervention, social emotional health, and cultural responsiveness. And to clarify on cultural responsiveness, it's like, what does this mean? It really is like, as an educator, when the kids come into the classroom, when we teach, we're thinking about, is our instruction reaching the learners in our classroom? Because they all have diverse backgrounds and experiences. So what can we do to make sure that it's speaking to them as individuals? And I just call that darn good instruction. So whatever we can do to help facilitate that, like we're in. And I think it really comes from a place of student care. We have an action plan with those 10 objectives, and it's driven by community leadership, a data-driven approach, and achievement and wellness for all students. There you see a nice color-coded version of the Equity and Inclusion Action Plan, and the three main drivers of that. It starts with community leadership. The Equity Task Force, was made up of parents, staff, and broader community, including student alumni. And then, we look at the data and we make our moves. We design our approach around a variety of student data from a dashboard approach. And then we take action. And that action is in the name of achievement and wellness. So the Equity and Inclusion Committee had its first meeting. The next meeting's next month. The first meeting is just a broad overview. We take a look at the action plan for those of us that, those committee members that are new. We review where we were and where we're going. And so the next meeting will have more meat, but we have a good group, and we're excited. And it's nice because it's, there's new people on the committee this year. So that's nice. And then you also have through line people. Eva Asiato is actually one of the few remaining original members besides Jen. So pretty cool to see her on there. And we have her on everything. So yeah, totally. We are actually just about to kick off our Fontes and Pinnell reading benchmark assessments. So our teachers will be doing the first diagnostic in November. We'll also be providing a letter, simple letter, an easy communicated letter, and then a small little video that goes along with explaining what the FMP assessment is and what it means. This will be the first try here, so we'll continue to refine it. And then we'll release those scores in alignment with parent conferences so that our families will know where their child is reading at and how we're going to support them in order to move forward. Sorry. The Panorama assessment measures school climate, as I mentioned the board in our last session update, that we heard feedback about just like, rolling back some of the assessments and surveys. So we'll be doing Panorama only once this year, but it will not be our only climate measure. We'll be taking a climate measure every trimester. That data, the Panorama assessment will be coming in February, but we are in November cross collaborating with our other two districts to provide training to our counselors in regard to the Panorama program and the Panorama playbook, which is how to support students from the results of the Panorama. Sorry, y'all, this thing's being a little wacky. The tri-benchmark assessment system, as mentioned, the iReady Gray assessment just took place, and that data is being compiled as we speak. But that goes along with our FMP assessment grades. What we're really intently focused on is Jessica is working with our team to design vertically articulated middle school benchmarks in the core subjects. And so that means that there's a progress assessment each trimester that the department collaborated on, grades 6 through 8. So it like measures like this is where students are at, and we're all in agreement that trimester 1, this is where students should be. So that'll be a work in progress. I guarantee you it'll be refined over the course of the next few years. But the step that we're taking to get there is so important, and that will set our students up for success as they matriculate to high school. Award-winning equity dashboard. All this data goes onto our equity dashboard. We'll make it, even though we're award-winning, we'll make good on our promise that we're going to continue to try to refine it each year and see if we can make it better or communicate better. We were actually just talking in school site council about, what can we do to maybe even have like a more simple view, and then like it goes into depth. So we're going to keep on working on the goal is for it to be digestible and accessible. But the data as it rolls in, starting with iReady, will be inputted into trimester 1 for the board's review. And then each trimester, our principals have in their staff meeting reviews to go through that data of the equity dashboard and review it with their team. On the professional development side, tonight for the board, contract with Dr. Orange is up for your approval. We look forward to our partnership with her again. We've heard very positive feedback from our staff. We have made refinements to the professional development with Dr. Orange, starting with that it's going to be in person this year as opposed to Zoom. And then we're giving our staff some grade level collaboration time in order to work on some of the things that are discussed, like in the professional development systems. So for example, if the teachers wanted to design an assessment that was more personalized learning, where students would choose the type of mode of assessment that they'd participate in, there would be time for them to collaborate on that project together. And then Dr. Orange would consult and provide feedback, or answer questions as needed. So we're gonna keep on experimenting with like how we do this, and keep on taking feedback from our teachers. We did a survey assessments at the end of each PD session, and then we also talked with the Equity and Inclusion Committee teachers as well as Snacks, the superintendent, to gather feedback. So we'll continue those approaches and refine it as necessary. Culturally responsive campuses. Ooh, that's a little cut off. So I won't go through everything. A lot of it is what you already just saw during this board meeting of how we're trying to improve the climate and be responsive to student needs and build character and culture among our students. One that I'll highlight is that the bike rodeo program was very successful. Kudos to Stephen McCall, who led the charge last year. And so in working with the Beach City Cycling Coalition, we were able to roll out an instructional program to all third through fifth grade students. It was awesome. And then at View and Vista, we'll be having to celebrate Hispanic Heritage in assembly with Hispanic Heritage performers. We're looking forward to that. It'll be fun. Sylvia's getting excited about that one. Serious. All right, trauma support. We've scheduled the Stop the Bleed training. CPR is in progress. And then we're trying to thread the needle on a presenter who is going to talk with our staff about responding to a crisis. We tried one last year. The feedback that we got was kind of mixed. So we're looking for someone that's maybe focused more on like the sensitivity of, and we felt last year like it was the feedback we got was like that our presenter from LACO presented well on their experience, but perhaps like we need someone that is more in tune with, the conversation itself and just like good strategies. So we are on the lookout for that, and but we're going to get someone in place. So it's just a matter of what we want to make sure that the right fit. So we're meeting with a few folks, and we're going to get there. On small group instruction, there you see a plethora of things that are in action or coming. Kudos to the Valley team. They, in alignment with our personalized learning. They had 3 different professional developments that were rotations of 3, and they range from a speaker talking about their personal experience with being a minority in a school environment, to a presenter talking about best inclusion practices in the classroom. So it was hitting all modes, right? Like, you mean like your social emotional, your academic. And so we're going to keep on trying that to work with our teachers in order to get towards, you mean like, the way that we approach instruction is through small group and student centered, which leads me to our exploration theme this year, which is personalized learning. The principals participated in a professional development session during the leadership. Our back to school rally, the keynote speaker was speaking from the experience of a student who excelled, and then also a parent of a student who had special needs. And we are in October, our meeting as a science vision committee in order to look at science and how we can get students engaged and excited at the middle school level. And then on every agenda item for all the committees, personalized learning will continue to be an agenda item in order to generate ideas and reflection about what this theme means as a school and a culture as we're moving there. And so, for example, at our last leadership meeting, everyone on our team had to identify an area where we feel like we've already executed like an activity of personalized learning and like why that was. So everyone from M&O, Jay, the M&O coordinator, to Aaron and Dinah, like we had to identify it and talk about it as a team, because like we ourselves are learning about how to head in this direction. So we're going to keep at that. I'm looking forward to talking about it at the Superintendent Advisory Council. And we look forward to bringing more and more examples to the board. At this time, I'll take questions. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that, Jason. Everyone is doing such great work. Comments and questions from the board? Excellent.
Yeah, I was going to let others go because mine was more, thank you, team, board, but particularly Jed and Maggie for sitting in on those things, and the council. Obviously, I know we've been through that. I mean, this was hard. There was a lot of time and effort that's gone into sort of the culmination of where this is at. I'm very proud to have been a part of that. So I was just thinking about the Golden Bell. That's wonderful. I wonder if there's an opportunity to do a seminar. Like, I'm also thinking contextually that we're one of the only ones in the like to have a dashboard and this level of rigor around things. And so I'm just wondering if there's an opportunity to do a seminar, if CSBA would want, as part of the Bell Awards, do they do a case study? I think that's important not only for our community, because there are community members who want to know that this is a priority, for the district, for their children, for us and our community, but also just to share insights and practicalities with other districts, because I think it's immense. So there's just some thoughts, more marketing thoughts. But
yeah, I participated last year, was invited to participate in a LACO group of school leaders that were trying to lead initiatives in equity and inclusion and these types of measures. And I do think that we're based off of that participation in that group and sharing ideas, that we're in a pretty strong position, and it has been a journey as well too to get there. Yeah. So we'll look for those opportunities. Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I've been an evaluator now 2 years in a row for it. And so they do put up on the websites the past winners. So I think there's some initiative taken on behalf of people who are interested in knowing like what's the best practice out there. But they do have, a whole thing of them as seen here on CSB.com.
That's great. It's just actually the conference, they'll have those seminars that you can attend and whatever else. I wonder if is that already
workshop. That's if you do it. You have to submit to do a tabletop.
Okay.
Jason, thank you so much for that. I think you're up for one more.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it going here. It's the Jason show tonight. All right there. So next I'm going to provide the board an update. Will be a final update until we get into January and February on our enrollment. Good time for celebration here. There we go. So enrollment exceeded our benchmark goal for 22-23. Nice. Yeah. Thanks to the efforts of our school and some others, legislation has passed to protect ADA on what they call a 3-year rolling average. So thank you, Ben Allen and Al Marisucci in particular. They really hustled for this legislation, and I remember talking with Ben Allen at the Gumtree with Stephen. So it's nice to see that come to fruition. And then just to make note that we are having great and productive negotiations with our partner HBA, but those negotiations are still pending. So I'm looking forward to settling with them so we can finalize our fiscal for the year. So these are the projections from Decision Insight. These projections were made post-COVID and associated enrollment loss from post-COVID that, was devastating to districts, not just in the South Bay, but across the state and the nation. And there you see it, the conservative and the moderate. The conservative is what you should base your fiscal off of, and the moderate is what you should base your facilities off of. And what they tell you really is that conservative is where you need to get to. You mean like that's where you should get to as a goal. And the moderate is really just what, in the event of an anomaly, what you should plan for. So in May, we were closing in on the moderate enrollment benchmark, which was fantastic. We were very excited about that. And here is where we are at now in October. So we've well exceeded even the moderate, or what I would call the very liberal benchmark for our enrollment by over 29 students. What you'll see is I mapped out the conservative benchmark and the moderate benchmark in relation to, you see there, the 22-23 actual enrollment. And the green means we met or exceeded the benchmark for moderate. Yellow means we met or exceeded the conservative benchmark, and red means that we did not meet the conservative benchmark. The area where we did not meet was in first grade. We were making good progress, but we never quite got to where we wanted to go. Though we got gains in areas that we did not necessarily expect. You see one of the biggest anomalies was in 8th grade, an add of 12 students. And that being one of the larger unexpected gains. In association with this growth, the FTE, or full-time employment teacher increases remain the same from when we last presented to the board. It's two teachers at the TK3 level, and that's in alignment with our 1-to-24 ratio that we get funding from the state for our compliance. And the cost of those teachers was about $200,000. So it's like, so what do you win? We win starting over again. Here we go. So now we're into 23-24. Felt really strongly about our enrollment campaign. It worked well, but now we need to get right back on the horse and go again. Here are the various areas where we'll continue to either build upon or expand. One of the things that we learned is that our partnerships, particularly with recreational sports, sand and surf soccer, were very instrumental in recruitment. So we'll continue to work with those partners. We know that our early launch of our enrollment processes in January, as opposed to March, so we started 3 months earlier last year, was successful for our parents who are still trying to make the decision about whether to attend our Hermosa schools. And then, this year we are really leaning into the facts. Here's the facts. We have award-winning programs. We have the highest achievement in the area, and we have the newest school facilities. So if you're not sending your kid here, I want to know why. Also, with the help of the Gluckster, we'll be launching our first preschool. Very excited about that. And then we're going to continue to ride the wave of TK enrollment, and they're going to roll back that birthday again. So April 2nd, 2023 will be the expanded birthday range. So we're going to keep it going. We're going to get right back after it. And we're going to beat our next enrollment benchmark. badly, might I just say. We beat it badly. Almost as bad as we beat Chadwick, actually, in the intramural sports. Okay. Sorry, Maggie. At this point, I'll take board member Q&A.
Board member questions, comments.
What was the score in that Chadwick game?
40-0. No one's keeping track though, really. It's just for fun.
Enrollment, people, enrollment. If they're coming for our volleyball team,
Yeah,
undefeated, then that's another story.
I do have an enrollment related question. Honest, I do. So given that the party we went to help us forecast enrollment badly missed on the low end, does that cause us any problems planning for the future if what we thought was the high end estimate turns out to be way too low?
So Decision Insight, or now what are they called? Yeah, they're owned by Power School, which is like the largest, school student information system. They actually just sent us the newest survey to recalibrate our numbers, and they will recalibrate their numbers in the analysis based off of the latest factors. We're going to schedule a meeting like we did last year with them in order to talk through our processes and share as much as we can so they can build into their analytics a new projection. So I look forward to that process, and I think it helps give us a gauge of where we're at and where we're going, but definitely an adjustment is obviously needed based off of these factors. I would say it's very difficult for them to project some of the factors that have taken place. And Hermosa is just I'm learning that it's just a very unique demographic, and the things that we're trying as far as our enrollment pushes, are unusual. They're not standard.
Yeah, and forecasting is always hard, especially about the future. But if we're way low in our numbers, if we think 2 years out, 3 years out, like what downside, what risk, what problems does that create for us? If we're projecting, hey, next year we'll be at 1320, and the year after that we're going to be at 1340, and then it turns out we're at 1400. Are there problems associated with that, or are those all good problems to have?
I mean, like on face value, it's in the era of declining enrollment across the nation. It's like on face value, a good problem to have. The flip side, typically the problems would be associated with facilities that you are not planning enough. In some cases, chairs and seats. Our classrooms associated. We are lucky, thank you to the Hermosa community, that we just built new facilities. And that the promise of Measure S was based upon enrollment levels being, in the 1300 range. So I would say that as far as the downside of facilities, it would be premature to have serious concern about lower projections because our facilities currently capacity, we're not where we would be reaching a max of our facilities where we'd have to consider building new buildings. And that's coincidence. By that. So I would say that would be mostly the issue at hand in regard to undershooting a number. And that's why they give you that moderate number. In order to prepare for that high ceiling. But the conservative benchmark is what you should be basing your fiscal off of. And we haven't. We moved towards the moderate benchmark to give a more realistic assessment, recognizing an adjustment was necessary.
Thanks. And it makes a lot of sense that the facilities are probably, the hard constraint, literally. What about personnel, programs, planning? Does that, do we plan differently if we think of ourselves as being, a district that has an extra 100 or 150 kids 2 years out, 3 years out, or does it not really have much of an effect there?
No, it's a great question. So enrollment growth will when it comes, will mostly come in the primary range or in TK2. I know I just showed you a graph that has this giant growth at 8th grade, but that's where we want to grow, and that's where we should grow over time. And so that from a programmatic standpoint or an FTE standpoint will create straight teacher growth. Every school year across larger districts, they are constantly juggling hiring for this reason, because different schools are growing and shrinking at different rates. It just so happens that we're one in baseline, which makes the planning much simpler. So that is not necessarily a challenge, other than that if you get a high growth rate in August, which happens, you're hiring later, so you're seeing a pool that you wish you could have seen earlier in April. But districts tend to hire based off of what we call butts and seats. So they're looking for that hard enrollment number. It'd be rare that a district would hire off of a projection, and particularly a projection where there's so many unknown assumptions right now for us. So I hope that those patterns will become more normed, and then in turn our projections and analytics become more stable. But I think there's just a lot of X factors involved that means that we have to kind of take it month by month, which case in point, in May we were at 1250, in October, in August we were at 1300, and then in October we're at 1280. Those moves are not large numbers for most districts, but for us it's a higher percentage, right? But a lot of the same principles of a number of kids coming and going still apply. So I sorry to ramble, but you can see where sort of your head starts to go with all these various factors. So I think we're always going to have to be relatively conservative on hiring projections. From a programmatic standpoint, particularly at the middle school level, the itinerants, we're building an HR master plan based off of our budget and based off of our projections to an extent. But that's based off of incremental growth, not necessarily big swing growth. And I would be remiss to recommend big swing projection program growth anyway. So I think that the changes that we should be making are headed systematically and consistently in a direction that is up. That gives us some leeway if our enrollment, it takes a bump on the way.
Thanks very much.
Yep.
More questions on enrollment, staffing, projections? Nothing. Stephen.
This is possibly one for when we get to that projection conversation, whatever else. But I'm just curious on the double click of, we had a lot of effort, particularly when, because of COVID, there was families leaving the district, and we were asking them, well, what, we're trying to gain an insight as to, well, where are you going, and what are the things you're doing? I'm just curious if we know as much of the insights around the growth, because particularly if you can suddenly get larger numbers at a higher grade level, maybe those are anomalies still related back to COVID, and maybe it's just more anecdotal, but I'm just curious what insights we can get that we can then leverage for future stuff.
Yeah. So a few things. The TK program was key and starting early. That was loud and clear. Full day kinder was an enormous, and TK was an enormous draw. And we got that feedback from when we met with our families at the pre-orientation events. And then before and after school daycare was probably when we surveyed those original surveys, was the number one thing that parents were looking for, was before and after school daycare, which as a parent with young kids, I understand. And then we looked at our permit data, and interestingly enough, most of our permits, I think approximately 50% came from North Redondo, the above Artesia neighborhood. And a lot of that was interlinked with the reasons was either sibling, word of mouth, or athletics, sharing of athletic programs. Sand of Surf being an example of one.
Got it. And so even with the older grade levels, that eighth grade where that bump was coming, is that?
That was more, that was different.
Okay.
I can't necessarily say that I have a good read or have focused survey or fact gathering on that, because so much of but our attention was focused on the TK through 2 demographic. So I will readily admit to the board that the growth at the higher grade levels snuck up on us. We weren't expecting that. Yeah.
Actually, to that end, I guess, you've said those points, preschool, TK dates expanding, our reputation in sports, especially against Chadwick, and word of mouth being key factors. Where I was going with that, I was so impressed by being able to drop in Chadwick into it. Lost my train of thought.
President's revenge there.
Yeah. Is there an opportunity with getting commitment earlier? I don't know if this is a legacy thing or a public school thing, but I doubt private schools operate on submitting your registration, a week before school starts. So is that something we're looking at? It could almost drive, hey, we're super successful. You need to sign up before you go on summer vacation sort of thing. But I don't know that's a blue sky thought. And I didn't know what your
This is a constant argument in the Hermosa Beach leadership team.
Okay.
And we're always chasing the enrollment commitment. The problem is that there's no blood oath. You mean like that, and this is why we went up to 1,300 in August and then, dropped down to 1,280, which is, there's a lot of factors for why people come and go. And so that's why we don't actually count their enrollment until they've completely filled out the paperwork.
Okay.
Because what we have people that say, I'm coming. And then they will not fill out the paperwork. So we have to filter them out over a period of time because they're unsure. And so what we call it, in the biz, we call it, clearing. You need to clear the list, right? Because you'll have let's say we're up to 1,290 enrollment in July. You mean but you still have 20 kids that are pending. And then there's various benchmarks of how many steps they've taken. You have some parents that's like, oh my God, I forgot my driver's license when I, submitted my paperwork. And then you have some people that, they put their kid's name on the Power School information sheet and that was it. And so we have to cipher through. So I paint that picture in the sense that I don't know I think that early word and early enrollment is key, which we've taken that step. I don't know if commitment necessarily is viable because there's nothing actually committing them, sort of like what's happening in college football right now.
Okay. Thank you. No more.
Any other questions? Okay. Moving on.
Thank you. I'm going to go sit down.
Okay. Our last report board discussion, R-16/22/23 is on board member orientation. And actually, Stephen McCall will be taking this one on.
Thank you, Board President. Thank you, Board President. I guess thank you to the board for wanting to be incredibly, diligent on a new board member. We're incredibly excited to have Catherine Barrow join the board. And I think as a board, we were discussing, well, what's our protocols, what's our standards? I think that the purpose of this was to develop a short summary. It's 3 pages, but it's still relatively short. That any new board member, yes, certainly with an eye to Kathy, but any new board member in the future could come and be, the best orientation for the best little beach school. The key, what it includes is key documents, direct links to that to make it very easy. Onboarding areas to make sure that people are aware from governance, ed admin, budget, operations, facilities, partners, et cetera, et cetera. Organizations, obviously, I'm sure people will be familiar, but there's quite an extensive network of our community, communications, plus additional notes from the team. I think particularly collaborated with Maggie and Jason on this. Further context on this is that I think our board governance is incredibly well detailed. Kudos goes to Maggie and former board members and team. And I know we've spent a lot of time in it in our governance workshops to make sure that our compact is comprehensive, it's detailed, it's updated annually, we review it. So that's exceptional. And a lot of it, the meat and potatoes of things are in there. But there's also, we come at this role with different experiences and areas of expertise. And so we wanted to make sure that it was comprehensive for Kathy as well as any future members. I think there was also an acknowledgement that being a board member is highly complex. It's incredibly involved. It's got really big issues. I'm not an educator by trade, but equally there are other elements and facets of, the finance in particular is huge. So I think that making sure that any new board member has that data, has that understanding as quickly as possible. And I know we all got, great onboarding in different ways, but I think that this document is intended to be a touchstone. It's not meant to be, it's intended to be talked through in one-on-ones. And it sort of covers the need to know, as well as there's some elements of the nice to know as well, little tips and tricks. So that is the new board member orientation document and intent. And yeah, board comments or queries.
Thanks for your leadership on this, Stephen. Comments from the board. It was sent out with an opportunity for you to review. So comments can be sent back to Jason.
It's possibly also, there's some there are confidential items in there, which is why probably it's not being included as part of the board packet, as part of the public packet, right? So just for anyone watching us to understand that, but yeah.
I read it and thought it was very comprehensive. Honestly, I thought it was a good job.
Great.
Same. Thank you.
I'm just really looking forward to not being the rookie anymore. On the flip side, Kathy Barrow was my daughter's English teacher a few years ago, and I'm pretty sure she's going to outclass at least me pretty quickly upon joining the board, because she was such a fantastic member of the Hermosa education community for so long. But yeah, no, I as the most recently newly oriented member, I found it incredibly welcoming. The other board members, including the exiting board member, were generous with their time, generous with advice, generous with their intent. That was super appreciated. Jason also was incredibly generous with his time, and I know how busy he is, and it was very helpful, and it was very comprehensive. And yeah, I just say that, thank you for that. That was great. And again, as the most recent rookie, I would just say you all did a great job last time. So, sticking to that and documenting it is great. So good work and thank you.
Excellent. Good. Moving on. We're going to do consent, and then we'll do a small break if people need it. People need to stretch their legs. Yeah. Okay. So let's do consent, and then.
Yeah, it's just
No.
really
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. We're going to push. Everyone can just not use the restroom. Okay. Consent. Following items are presented to the board as consent, requesting approval by a motion. No prior discussion of these items unless requested by the board. Superintendent's recommendation, all items listed be approved. Is there a motion?
Can I just make one comment? I just want to congratulate the librarian. I'm forgetting.
Ms. Myers?
Ms. Myers for the grant that she wrote, and that we're accepting a gift on her behalf. So it's awesome that she did that and took her time to do that. So that's all.
Excellent.
So moved to approve the consent.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Quentin. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on to board action. Superintendent section S-18-2223 resolution.
Thank you, the board, for holding public hearing on the assurance of pupil textbook and instructional materials. It is recommended to the board to approve that assurance through resolution. Thank you.
Excellent. Any questions for the superintendent? Seeing no questions, is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Motion.
Second.
Thank you, Quentin. There is a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to business, B-35-2223, contract with Second District Supervisor Mitchell.
So it's recommended that the board approve the contract with the Second District Supervisor Holly J. Mitchell, who is providing $1,500 for library books that Heather Meyer wrote the grant for.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions? Excellent. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jen. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Moving to board member roundtable.
Maggie, if I could just make a note for the items for the November 14th board meeting. We will likely need to push the tri-agency report because the tri-agency meeting is going to be rescheduled likely into November. So we'll do that report in December.
Thank you. Noted. Board member roundtable. Does anyone want to start? No one? Halloween Carnival, any PTO information updates? Stephen really wants to say something. Go ahead, Stephen.
We should get to all of that. Absolutely. I do with the board's, indulgence, because I know we managed to push through in record time this evening. Parting thoughts. It's my penultimate meeting.
You're going to do parting thoughts at a penultimate meeting?
Because if there's anything on the board, on the thing that you want to come to for the agenda next month, then I'd rather sort of not just do parting thoughts and sort of push it off. You asked for this, so don't say it's a surprise. You both.
Do we have to cry 3 meetings in a row?
He's giving us parting thoughts. Go ahead, Steve.
No, this is not. No, this is not. This is not. No. This is not a speech. This is not. This is. Come on. This is the.
Okay. Go ahead, Stephen.
We love you.
Yours. Yeah, 7 minutes.
All right. Some of them are obvious. Some of them we've talked about before. Yeah, it's all good. View School was obviously a project I was on. Maggie has been so also involved with a lot of the more recent items, so that's great. There's definitely some thoughts and further areas of room, but we've got that update coming November or December for the View.
So the construction meeting was today, and we're going to do we're doing a facilities update in November, but we're going to do a construction closeout meeting in December.
I won't be around for the December, but it's okay. I've got to let go.
No one's saying you have to leave the meeting.
I can come.
You can sit and-
Can I make virtual comment with cocktails? Yeah.
Always.
Not to be inappropriate. Okay, good. All right. The next one was a big one, was vision, mission, values. I've mentioned this to the board before. I think that the Equity Task Force did a great why for our students. I think that the why is really important. Jason even mentioned the why. Like the why, particularly when we're talking about enrollment, is so key. And I want incoming families to be inspired by the district. I'm not saying what we've got right now is not bad, but I think there's an opportunity. We've had certain things that particularly over the last few years, Equity Task Force, but taking a look at our value proposition, Jason's already sort of touched on it, but some of the language around the why, particularly from our Equity Task Force, I thought was great. So I presented some thoughts back, I think in April 21, but there's definitely that to look back on if you want to go there. The next thought was around excellence. We've done so much with closing achievement gaps and exceptional student performance, and that led us to the California Distinguished Schools Award Program. And I'm really hopeful that means that View, Vista, Valley all get that honor and award. But I don't know if you would mind touching on whether that's something that the team's already looking at.
Yeah, so Sylvia and I, as you know, we like to apply for grants and awards. The CDE did put out an announcement that there's no longer going to be an application process, that schools will just be named if they qualify. And so we are eagerly awaiting the qualification data and to compare it with our schools. We will certainly be in the running, but they do look at multiple metrics. So we'll take a look at that.
And I say that because going middle school sports, you go to PV or other places, maybe not chat, no, but where the awards are front and center, on the campus, like when you're driving up. And so getting those awards and those sort of things could be, again, further marketing things. I think also those awards then thinking about pathways. I think pathways were making such a great effort with, Thrive K through Life and with high schools. I think that, as thinking about our pathways from kinder, through to high school, not just 8 is key. The next thought piece is around community. And we have in our board goal around the plan to fund classroom technology, athletic facilities, and energy conservation. I don't know if there's an update planned or thoughts around that particular area. One thing that was leading that conversation, I mentioned it in the communication update earlier, that Sand and Surf reached out. It was a sort of a parent introduction. And it seems as, hearing about how sports is so key even to our enrollment. I mean, parents want to look at schools and go, oh, wow, they've got great, not just classrooms, which we have now, but also these facilities. And it can be a marketing draw for things. What I heard, I think this needs to be validated or thought through, and this would be my thing, is that there's maybe such desire from our community sports, and that ranges not just from soccer, but to a multitude of sports and community involvement, that could mean that there could be private funding brought, that we don't need to go out to get a measure or anything from the community. I think that deserves almost looking at sort of round numbers to go, well, what would that mean if that happens? Then what's the 10-year drop off on use for facilities use or whatever else? It seemed to me as though it's the sort of thing that if the desire is that big, and it's the sort of thing that could be done next summer, trying to wrap it into a measure or something that could be, might take several years to put through. I just go, look, maybe it's something that deserves staff looking at those numbers, having further consideration as a board. And I just open that up for, I don't know where, I know that's already part of our objectives, but having had that, both the insight from enrollment and also hearing from our community partners, I'm just wondering what next steps will be.
Based off the conversation in our last board workshop over the summer, we'll be having a discussion about potential facilities needs. You mean like when it comes to like funding or partnerships? That is not part of the conversation. I think you have to start with the why and kind of where we're at. And what I will say, we love our partners and we love ideas about contributions. I would say though that, for any partnership that I've heard, nothing in life is free. And so we need to make sure that whatever we consider is best for Hermosa schools. You mean first and foremost?
And community. I mean, look, and these models are out there because they already employ them through Manhattan Beach and through, and so it's something that's kind of taking a deeper look at those things, but there is a potential path there, particularly to get facilities and sports further improvements by the end of next summer. That could be a big win for enrollment. So I think that would be something that the board may want to consider further. A project that is near and dear to my heart, which is odd because I don't own one, but e-bike safety. It's just wanting to make sure that our community, however they walking and rolling to school today was thrilling to see the community out. So a lot of this is in hand and a lot of things are going on, but I think there's also continuing to triangulate with key stakeholders, that there is stuff with our city, with the police, with South Bay Bike Coalition, etc. There's multiple partners there. It's a big topic. If you're following, for a lot of us are probably following the city council candidate debates and forums, like it's on, and that means that it's on our community's heads as well. I had to perform an emergency brake this evening to get here because there were students who crossed in front of me and without signaling and without helmets. So like, I wonder where we can sort of put this. Is it in the wellness committee? Is it in facilities? Is it, I just wonder how that gets continued and championed, because I think it's something that more can be done. Thank you, board, for indulging me on this. Okay. Another area is review of food services. I know that this is sort of part of a bigger topic and other considerations given state mandates and what have you. I wonder if there's an opportunity to review alternatives. These could be closer to home, and whether that's Manhattan Beach or other options that could just mean that, I hear anecdotal reports of very glowing, food services in neighboring districts. And I know we use Torrance and it's good. And I know that also our students do a great job of, we've improved with salads and other things. So I know that we do a good job. I'm just wondering if there's an opportunity to review that and do that. Okay, marketing, my favorite subject. I think that I don't know if we could have, or the board may want, a review of data, analytics with goals in mind. I know that then may fall under things like enrollment and stuff like that, which we get great updates because I know it's obviously at the forefront of our goals and priorities. I think that the personalized learning and making more of personalized learning and promoting that for preschoolers through to 8th grade, I just think there's more in the marketing materials that we can lean into, because that's the sort of thing when I look at private schools and how they're marketing, and I look at what we're doing and sort of the depth of insights around data and personalized learning that we now have, leveraging that further would be great. Preschool enrollment, I mean, getting that program and interest and seeking interest in, there are families that have, siblings, and that could help us garner greater interest. So I think as much as those are brought to bear for marketing and our key areas of focus, that would be great. I think that we have in the past relied on content. I say content, photography, video. We've relied on that from our partners. And I know we do a shared job. I mean, I think there's an opportunity now that we've got new schools, new facilities, we're through health protocol restrictions, that there's an opportunity to do new photography programs. And I don't know if that's something that in the past we've been able to use our really wonderful community of artists and photographers who can do that sort of stuff. But I think that looking at those enrollment materials and when they're using stock photography, I know that you see stock photography and it looks like stock photography versus you see a photography of our teachers in our classrooms with our facilities. It's night and day. And so that's just an area and a project I think that we can look at. I also think the board could do with some photography, but that's just that's a side thing. Yeah, thank you. I know we do in the past, but it's a small thing. Logos I know is under review. I think that ratings, congratulations to the district on getting the A rating across all sites in our districts in niche. I think that, can we go for A+, or how can we go for more? Again, it's sort of those points and a user experience. I think that if we can get reviews, we also have a new digital footprint across all our sites. So now, all our Google sites, and where do people come in? I don't know this. It's a while since I've come into, move to a new district. What are they searching on? Yes, we know niche. Yes, we know Google, these things, but what can we do to provide people to know that we have, 5-star if it's Google, but yes, we have those things. How can we do more about those things? User experience. This is maybe a project that could be undertook, is sort of all touch points, especially for prospective and new customers, families, from, an overview of the district, collateral handed out, when they phone up and they get the voice system. I mean, it's all touch points that I just don't know if we've sort of had a thorough 360 review. When I listen to RBUSD, their automated voice system says where we're reaching for greatness, very simple. But also we took a look, and I shared with Jason, I think, and maybe Maggie, the videos from our neighboring districts. And I would say that, we some of those are good and some of those are a long walk for a short drink. I think that we've done great videos, but it's been a while since we've done the Halo district. It was sort of in there with the back to school this last year. But again, previously we've relied on HBF to sort of, because it's leaning into enrichment. And I think that our story and our message has changed a bit more now. I think it's that. And so I think that user experience and videos about why people want to come. You were just talking about clearing. Like, how we use it, like touch points around clearing, like, well, send them a video, send them a text message, like literally, like if that's going to garner us another 10 or 20 sort of families coming in because we're hitting them with this playbook of here's our marketing around getting in people who are on the fence. No, let's think about how we can really aggressively market to people in a positive way and get the word. I think the big thing is word of mouth, and that word of mouth, then distilling it down into sound bites, not just Thrive and Best Little Beach, but making those things mean something and giving people tangible things that they can go, oh yeah, we're top 5% with this, we're A, whatever it is, those things need to be done. My last thing was I was just curious about tri-agency meeting and agenda and key issues and things going on. So if, as and when that gets done, if that could be shared with the board and maybe your Friday update, that would be great. And yeah, anyway, parting is such sweet sorrow, but just some thoughts anyway for you to take on. Thank you very much.
Next. Anything? You have PTO Ed Foundation stuff?
Just what I talked about.
Okay.
Just what I talked about before. The Carnival coming up on the 28th, as Jason mentioned. Please sell and buy all those raffle tickets. The prizes are fantastic. Please come out. Buy your food tickets, your drink tickets, your game tickets, all the tickets. I'll be selling tickets 7:15 to 8:15. So come find me. I'll sell you all the tickets you could possibly want. Yeah, come out to that. Annual giving, please give. There's not much more to say about that. You know, all these things that we sit up here wanting to talk about and do are so many of them are funded by PTO and HBF. So please give to both. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Agora Hills is really far away. I just wanted to apologize for being late this evening. Thank you to my board colleagues for being tolerant, and I'll try to give myself a little more leeway next time.
Ways. I had three things. For the November meeting, we started last year bringing out roles and committees for the board to consider. So just to make sure we have that on the agenda, so folks have time to consider.
Yes, it's part of, I think it's on our governance calendar, and we'll follow up and try to get something out really shortly.
Along with that though, but if there's like
New board member.
Well, we can send it to her, but if there's committees that need to be, that are sunsetted, or if there's any new committees, like we need to have that conversation maybe as a board.
LCAP's a fantastic committee for a new board member.
So Maggie, what you're thinking is
We might need it as a discussion item.
bring it to November's discussion and then decide rules at the December meeting. Yeah, okay. We'll share it via board update and then the November meeting as discussion.
And then for the next construction update, will we be talking about traffic flows for parking lots, specifically view and safety of
that could definitely be as part of the discussion of construction update. I will follow up with the board in regard to how to shape that conversation so we can take steps or make recommendations.
And then last piece is for my colleagues up here, had a chance to talk to the police chief about bike safety after the bike rodeo, which kudos, Stephen, you did such a great job in kicking that off. And with that partnership, it was super fun to be there. But the chief has said, like, we're not going to enforce our way out of this problem. And the district has taken on an incredible amount of work doing the education and the support and the inspiration to families on how to be safe. But the chief was interested in finding out if electeds want to write a letter to Maritsuchi to try and push legislation to have e-bikes be regulated underneath a class of license that I don't know could be determined, but to push legislation so it doesn't fall so squarely on schools and on police doing enforcement in this manner. So if you're interested in getting together on that, I'll send around some things. I'm going to reach out to the school board presidents and see if they want to join in on a letter to local reps.
Yeah, interested.
I think that is it with board member roundtable, and I need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
So moved.
Aye.
Thank you for the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.